Oh, hi there and welcome to another edition of Friday Night Lights. I'm joined here by our very own A-team this week. Hopefully we get lots more winners, particularly from Johnny Ward. Anyway, joined by Gavin Lynch this week as well. So our A-team in the seat ahead of our Friday Night Lights show at Dundalk. We're just going to start at the start. Claimer to kick things off. One thing you wanted to mention though, Gavin, the ratings this week on the all-weather. Because it's gone past the 1st of November, a lot of these horses are actually dropped, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just something to watch out for that. Don't get caught out when you see a horse drop 4 or 5 pounds. It's happened to most of the horses. So, for example, later on, Cattyman I think won off 87 last week and runs this week off 85.
Yeah, there's a few there, but the sort of general standard of the horse, it's not massive influence, just something that might catch people out.
Yeah, just to keep an eye on it.
Right, well, let's start with the claimer then.
There's probably 4 that stand out: Menelik, Reckless Lad, Rivellino and Midnight Mud Crabs. I was fancying Rivellino, but the draw of 14 is against it, so I've gone for Menelik. Drawn 1, Pat Smullen. They've won 3 times in the spring. Pat is a dangerous man on a horse that likes to be out in front or to be up the pace, so I've gone for Menelik over 6.
Absolutely. Johnny, your thoughts on that race?
Yeah, same as, and I was kind of conscious of the fact that the Aidan McGuinness horse had a big chance until the draw was made, and that will be a big negative over the 6 furlongs. I tipped up Reckless Lads last week. I think the
That
race
was one of your 4 winners, Johnny.
5
5 winners last week.
But well named in terms of this panel, I think. But Reckless Lads, in fairness, just got the split, got a brilliant ride last week, but just may need a little bit of similar looking running to get here. Menelik drawn low, just plenty going for it, really. I'm not sure, you know, Donovan has had plenty of raids over here. He's had a bit of success, but the fact he's booked Smullen, I think, is definitely a point.
Yeah, significant. I mean, that class of race generally significant too. Right, on to the nursery second race of the evening. Anything jumping off the card here, Johnny?
I'm going with Art of Unity again. Basically steps up from 5 to 6. Got a nice run kind of up the inner when it won 2 weeks ago. Oshinora, obviously we know, has been named the champion apprentice, and he's really done exceptionally well, and kind of I think made his name initially at Dundalk. That's where he sort of honed his trade. Optional Necessity ran well in Maiden company last week, would come into the argument as well, but Art of Unity is rock solid, I think.
Your thoughts on the nursery, Gav?
Myself and Johnny don't chat before we go on air, so unfortunately for the horse's chances, Art of Unity again.
This is like countdown.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. These guys did.
I got a 9 as well.
Go on.
I think the step up to 6 is going to be a huge help. Its previous 3 runs were on soft ground, so it seems to like Dundalk. It's gone from one champion jockey to the other, from Colin to Oshinor. I think that Storm has broken, will try and make all. The step down to 6 from 7 will definitely suit that, so that might be the danger.
Good stuff. All right, on to the Maiden then, 6:30 Maiden. We have Joseph O'Brien trained, Lloyd Williams owned, son of High Chaparral here, but it's not rekindling unfortunately. But anything stand out in this?
And you also have a Godolphin horse for Jim Bulger as well.
Yeah,
so
full brother to Parish Hall.
it'd be an interesting Maiden. There's 2 horses here that obviously stand out in form. One is the Insignia of Rank, and the other is Platinum Warrior. Without boring you too much, there's actually very little in it. The Maiden, that Insignia of Rank, was third in. The first and second are now rated 88 and 84, so that ran to about 82, 83 the last day. And also Platinum Warrior, it was just beaten in a photo by the kid Bobby B, who's now rated 85. So
looked the winner for most of the race as well.
yeah. So there's a pound or 2 in it. The draw suits Insignia of Rank, depending on the betting. If Insignia of Rank was a 3 or 4 to 1 shot, you'd back it each way, but it just depends on the betting really. But it's between those 2.
Johnny, you differ on that at all?
Probably, yeah. National Security is obviously very eye-catching on paper. I don't really think Jim Bulger targets Dundalk though, and especially no more than Dermot Weld. I'd imagine he probably will go off something like 8 to 1 or bigger. And Platinum Warriors defeat the last day. It was one of those races where Pat Smullen probably got off the horse in the unsaddling enclosure and it's like, I'm going to lose this title, I'm just losing too many of these.
Pat Smullen's either going to go through the cards some night at Dundalk, or he's just going to drive a bulldozer up there, isn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, he's had a couple of those evenings at it.
It really was, it was compelling stuff, you know, but I thought this horse did nothing wrong at all on that occasion. First time tongue tied for Insignia of Rank, which is interesting. Michael Halford using Smullen quite a lot now, rock solid, see no reason to oppose him really. There isn't much between them, but I give him the nod.
Yeah, Pat Smullen will be on one of the several Mick Halford runners in the next race as well. I think he runs 3 in this one.
Yeah, you know, he runs a lot of horses at Dundalk. You know, his strike rate isn't actually brilliant, it's just that he runs quite a lot of them, and you know, he really doesn't like the surface there. Tom Kenny's, we were speaking pre-show that it's interesting that he doesn't ride him, Pat Smullen, that he's gone to ride Cattyman, who's a bit of a standing dish. in this type of handicap. But I'm with Red Avenger here. I probably will go against Gavin. Not that I know what he actually selected, but I don't think he selected Red Avenger here. Or if he did, it's interesting that he did. But basically, Damien English, I like Damien around Dundalk. He bought this horse, actually offered me a leg in this horse when he was buying it, and he told me he's in at Dundalk. I think he'll win on Friday night. He was about 28 on the exchanges. Didn't back him. But I thought he was eye-catching actually here 9 days ago. He's very competitively weighed now. Shane Foley, I think, rides him, and plenty going for him. And Geological may set up the race for him a little bit.
Yeah, good pace, so won't he? Anything in stand out for you, Gavin?
The two I liked was Red Avenger. It dropped £4 from 82 to 78. Was unlucky the last day. And obviously Cattyman. Cattyman, as we said earlier, is now running off 85, even though it won off 87, which is interesting. The step up to a mile would suit. I would just sway for Cattyman.
Good stuff. For the record, I kind of like Cascavel, really bad, related to some lovely sorts of likes of Carla Bianca, so I'd pop her as an each way squeak down the bottom for Robbie McNamara. Apprentice Handicap up next. Anything jump off the page there?
Two I liked. One was Commander One, who's gone back to Dundalk. The last day the soft ground probably found it out in Leopardstown, but the one I'm going for is Time for Mabel. It was unlucky the last day over 10.5 furlongs. That was off 67. It's been dropped £4. The step up and trip will definitely suit. So Time for Mabel for me.
Yeah, Johnny?
Time for Mabel is my bet of the night actually. I just think the step up and trip will suit us. Ran an eye-catching race. Billy Lee rode it the last day. I fancied it actually. It was put in around 16 to 1. No match for the winner, but this horse actually has run very little on the all-weather in Ireland, but prior to that, in his previous incarnation, he ran quite regularly on it in France. He's by Soldier of Fortune, so he's bred over there. Gavin Ryan taken off to 4. He's in a good school there at Jim Bulger's, I think. And just the way the horse travelled the last day, no problem at all with this surface. I think this is his trip. Mark of 63 is still there to be exploited. Some of his flat runs in the summer at the Curragh would give him very strong claims here. Rap Star obviously comes into it as well. Anthony McCann had a 40 to 1 winner on Wednesday night.
That's going to be right.
He did another winner recently as well. His horse are running well, but Time for Maple is my bet of the night.
Actually, I kind of fancy a Jew in that for another hot trainer, Pat Martin, as well. Ran well last time out. The Maiden, the third last race in the car before we get to Be Still My Beating Heart. We're going to get to the 45 to 65 just yet, but the Maiden first.
It's hard to say how good DeFeera will be, the Gerlines horse. First time out for Sean Jones with Colin Keane, so that could go off.
He has had quite a few winning debutants on the surface of the last couple
of
of weeks.
When there's money for Gerlines at Dundalk, it seems to certainly pay.
Yeah,
so
nice.
It's hard to say how good that horse is, but Massa Lubrenze must run a good race here. Now, it's no superstar, it's only rated in the 70s, but it ran well 2 runs ago in Fairyhouse on heavy. Maybe didn't see out the 7, was dropped to 6.
That was incredibly heavy ground Fairyhouse, wasn't it? That day. It was very testing.
So it did run well a year ago at Dundalk, so I think back up to 7 at Dundalk with the better surface. It travels very well. That has a good chance.
Good stuff, Johnny.
Yeah, Master Lubrense is by Intense Focus, and I virtually never back a horse by Intense Focus, even if the form is there. I just don't like them at all. And this horse, like a lot of Intense Focus, goes well on heavy ground, as we saw the last day. So whether he'll be quite as effective here for John Gagan, who wouldn't have many maiden winners, is questionable. Mocka Lad, who Gavin was quite sweet on last week, ran a solid race, and we were all fairly sweet on the winner in that race, the John Murtagh trained horse. But I think this horse, is rated 70, might be good enough. Wouldn't necessarily be backing him depending on the price, but I think he should be thereabouts under Shane.
Looked like the drop-in trip to as well.
He travelled well. Week, he was eye-catching obviously the day before at Leopardstown. Fair chance, he's a pound ahead of peace officer on ratings, so that's where you are in a race like this.
Okie doke, here we go. The standing dish at Dundalk every Friday are 45 to 65. Lots of familiar faces in this thing. There's like 4 last time out winners or recent winners in the first division. Your thoughts, Cal?
I always like to go for unexposed horses, ones that have had as few runs as possible. And one of Johnny's famous winners last week was Dynamite. One off 45, it's up to 53. It's only had the 5 runs, 2 runs in handicaps. The first run in the handicap, it was up with the pace, whereas the last week they dropped it in, and it seemed to make all the difference. It won very snug.
So dropping back to the 7 helped as well in that. It looks like 6 furlongs would be no problem to it. It's a Dark Angel horse, and as Gavin said, it light up with the pace over the mile, showed plenty of ability. I suppose my concern was McHenry, the trainer, hadn't had a winner in Yonks, so he didn't have the runners necessarily, but it is a little bit.
Now he's going to have 2 in a week.
I think this horse will follow up. I think he absolutely bolted up last week, and Nathan Cross taken off to 7. I think it'll be hard to beat.
Yeah, still only off 53. Glenmore will probably try and make all, and I could see Dynamite coming past that later on.
Good stuff. And the last division of that maiden as well. That's a blank sheet paper, Gav. That's not going to take much to use.
Dynamite and Timia. So you know you have the 5 letters of Timia, or the 4 letters all fit into Dynamite. So it'll be certainly a double. I think people will be liking Timia
for Countdown fans.
For Countdown fans, another mention. I just think this horse, like we won the race. Apart from the race that was won by Bermondsey Lady, that it emerged out of the pack and did very little wrong, was quite well backed. Funny enough, this horse is by Kate Cross, but doesn't really seem to be as effective over a mile as over shorter. The boy Oshinor taking off the 3 as well. 7 is a perfect draw for 7 furlongs on a hold up horse here. Very, very solid. And I think Heath Clark's a decent trainer as well, I have to say.
Yeah. Cameron?
Yeah, unfortunately again it's Timia.
Okay, well unfortunately we're going to have a full house of Timia. So we're going to get to the best bets on the card now just before we finish up. Cameron, we'll start with you.
Nap of the night is probably Art of Unity, followed closely by Timia and also Dynamite.
Good stuff. Johnny?
I'll go for Time for Mabel just as a nap at a slightly bigger price. I really fancy Dynamite also to follow up, and I guess I'll go with as my third selection. I'll actually go with Red Avenger. We're talking here before we know the prices, but I think all our selections they're not particularly left field tonight.
Okie doke.
There's no 20 to 1 shots there anyway.
Okie doke, yeah, and I think my best bet of the night is Timia. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll be back again next week for more Friday Night Lights.